Okay.
All right.
I am recording. We are broadcasting. Everything is good. Welcome to Four Brewers. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I'm joined by
Jason Harris
and Greg Nagel.
And we have another special guest in the studio for this session. We have Jesse Friedman, formerly of Almanac Beer Company, and now with your new thing you're doing, FAVA.
Hello, podcast listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah, my new project, FAVA. You can find us online at FAVA.la.
Great URL, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. Got to get that short, quick. And then we're on Instagram at fava.la. Spelled out D-O-T.
Okay.
Super confusing. But yeah, I'm doing a series of guest chef pop-ups as well as some other consulting and events that I'm working on. But we just did our first event last week. We had a guest chef, Bo Schooler. I wrote an article about him for Good Beer Hunting as well that came out recently. An incredibly talented chef. So he cooks sort of Italian and Filipino influence food. And he brought a checked bag full of Alaskan seafood down to Hollywood with him, and served us all the delicious things.
Could you imagine sitting next to somebody on an airplane and they're like texting somebody from home? They're like, "Oh my god, the guy next to me smells like fish."
I'm sure it was in a sealed container, Greg.
Oh, okay.
Everyone coming out of Alaska.
He's like,
you don't have
mackerels like duct tape to his thighs.
You don't have to carry on the fish. You know, it's
that would have been even more fun though.
Could you bring a fish through TSA?
It's not a liquid.
Yeah, it's not liquid, right?
Yeah.
So why couldn't I put a fish?
You'd
on
have to strip
carry-on?
search it because you might like stuff the innards full of delicious cocaine.
You're just pulling out a live salmon and putting it through the X-ray machine.
Slap it on.
Just flopping on there.
So before we talk a little bit more about Jesse's new project, we opened a beer. We're drinking beers today from Adroit Theory. Just a little history on how we acquired these beers. Last session, Tim Mather and Kyle Roderick from Untapped were on the show, and Tim brought a beer from Adroit Theory that, unfortunately, it was an IPA that was 8 months old. So if you listen to that show, my thoughts on that beer was that it basically turned into what I thought was a saison, just because I think it re-fermented in the bottle.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really oxidized due to that re-fermentation in the bottle. So at least that's my guess. So Mark Osborne from Adroit Theory reached out to us because he heard the show, and he was kind of disappointed that our first impression of his brewery was with an old beer. So they sent us 6 beers. And
that's amazing.
We
These
just
are all
opened
bombers
one.
too.
Yeah, they're all bombers, which is kind of unusual to see. They got great artwork though. Like their artwork is stellar.
Looks like comic book covers to me is how I would describe like special edition, not everyday issue, like a special edition comic book cover.
Yeah, they have me and Jason said this on the other show, the previous show too. They have like a Coheed and Cambria vibe where their bottles like have a story behind them, and the beers have a story, and they're named certain ways and they're categorized in certain ways. It's pretty unique. It's kind of refreshing to see.
He also mentioned they number the beers kind of like he compared it to Nine Inch Nails with the halos on all the albums. If you're a Nine Inch Nails fan, it's a fun
this
little
beer
thing
is 3.9%, which is like that in a bomber. I don't know if it just like threw off my mental math a little bit. I don't know the last time I had a bomber with something less than 5%.
So yeah, this beer is it's called Illusion of Safety. It's a Goza made with calamansi. Am I saying that right? Calamansi?
Yeah. It's a Filipino citrus.
Okay.
So Bo cooks with it all the time. So
perfect.
It's really
Bo knows calamansi.
Bo knows calamansi. It's a super acidic, sort of like a Tangelo, maybe something kind of like that, or like a sour tangerine.
Yeah, and this beer has some bite. Holy moly!
The fruit on the nose is super like mango mimosa almost is what I would sort of point it at.
This is more puree than beer.
It goes with lactose that they add the fruit to, is what they've said. And they said this version is more tart than the other versions.
It's a lactose that they added beer to.
yeah, pretty much. Because this is like super. This looks like orange juice.
It has a consistency of like a Kern's nectar.
Yeah, it has 0 head on it.
It reminds me of Sunny D, like Sunny Delight.
Yeah. Kind of that artificial, like over the top, like fruit flavor that you can't really point your finger at. You know?
Yeah, the aroma really pops on this. You get the calamansi. You know, I mean, it's exactly what it says on the label.
Yeah, if you're looking for something like tart and fruity and sweet, like this beer does it actually pretty well.
It's very brunchy. I mean, I'm writing an article on a bunch of brunches around town.
A bunch of brunches,
and
bunches of brunches with Greg Nagel,
and the whole bottomless mimosa thing. And people do them like either with orange juice, pretty typical, but mango is a pretty solid second choice.
Yeah, this is actually made
peach
with
is the other one.
mango and passion fruit in addition to the calamansi.
Do you have some cheap champagne I can cut this with?
That'd be really great.
It'd be really fun. And then boost the ABV a little bit too.
I almost like in my head, you know how when you drink orange juice that has a little bit of the pulp in it, and you can kind of taste it and feel it on your tongue.
Yeah, it's zippy.
I like thought about that, and I could feel it on my tongue. That's how much this tastes like fruit juice. It's kind of crazy.
It's just barely carbonated too, which is sort of adding to that.
Yeah, but for being a 3.9 beer, I mean that's pretty cool that it's got all this
A lot of flavor packed
impact
in there.
Yeah,
it's pretty thick too. You know, with 2 C's. Would you say it was a 3C thickness?
I'd say it's a 3C thickness. Okay. You know, but Goza and lactose, that's something I would never like. Kind of like IPA and lactose, like that's something that I just wouldn't want to do.
Or just leave your lactose out of your beer altogether.
Yeah.
Put lactose in everything. I'm making a lager with lactose. Boom. Sweet lager, bitch.
Yeah.
Sweet pills. Sweet hazy pills.
Sweet hazy. Hazy pills.
Hazy pills.
So, Jesse, tell us a little bit more about this recent pop-up you had. I think it was on, it was last week?
It was last week was
Last
the first one. Yeah, last week was the first one for the Alaskan seafood pop-up. So Bo came down. We did a la carte menu of 5 or 6 dishes that we put together. One of my favorites was salmon mortadella, and I just think it's such a great example of him being really creative with this Alaskan seafood. So mortadella, it's kind of like fancy Italian bologna is kind of how I describe it.
Meat.
Yeah, it's forced meat, charcuterie item. And so it's normally you can see it in almost any deli case. It's got like pistachios and little white squares of fat back in it, and that's normally made out of pork. He makes a version made of 100% local salmon.
Dude.
And then the little white squares are actually sea scallops that are embedded in it. And then he wraps the whole thing in salmon skin and poaches it, and then comes out and slices it super thin, just like deli meat. So we serve that on rye bread made at Friends and Family, which is our host restaurant with a little house-made mayo. Real good.
Yeah,
super tasty.
Looks really good in the photos too.
And what beverage do you pair with that?
We got some Highland Park has been super cool and letting me raid some ultra fresh beer from them.
Cool.
So I got 2 beers from them. One was a Citra dry hopped Pilsner because Citra makes every beer better. Called 90 Hour Day. And so nice, light, sort of citrus forward. I like that sort of the citrus in IPA acts like a lemon wedge with seafood, sort of cuts through the fattiness of it in a really nice way.
Man, that sounds amazing. And you said that you have another one coming up on April 6th.
Yeah, so April 6th, Prebichu from San Francisco. So they're a Guamian restaurant that's coming down to visit. They had a restaurant in the Mission that just closed. Now they're doing pop-ups and coming down here.
I've never had Guamian food. I would imagine it's a soup, kind of tropical.
Yeah, no one ever has. Sort of think like Polynesian, kind of Hawaiian inflected.
Okay.
A lot of coconut. Yeah, a lot of seafood, a lot of pork. But then you get really cool, and they're what I love that they do is they take sort of these classic Guam flavors of things like, coconut vinegar and things like that.
Oh, sweet. I've never had coconut vinegar.
It's coconut, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's got that sort of fruity tropicalness, but then a really nice sourness that comes with it. So taking that, and they create these really cool, awesome flavors, and they are both huge beer nerds too.
Oh,
and
nice.
So it's fun to work with them and pair these things together. So they're coming down. They're going to do they make coconut butter that they make from scratch with coconut in it. We're doing their ribs that they make that are super good, that I think are guava glazed, that are super tasty. And then they make a chicken sausage that's wrapped in banana leaf and poached in coconut milk as well. So really tropical, beachy kind of flavor set.
Sounds very paleo friendly as well.
Absolutely.
My wife has been doing the paleo thing. There's coconut everything in the house.
Yeah.
What exactly is paleo?
I have no idea. It's low carb, no dairy.
Okay. Yeah, you're supposed to avoid processed sugar, any kind of things like that. And it's based on the idea of eating like a caveman ate or something like that. So
I don't know.
Dinosaur steaks.
Got it.
I assume
Okay.
woolly mammoth, braises.
Yeah. So instead of butter and
Stuffed
and stuff, we have
saber-toothed tiger.
Coconut everything in the house. So yeah, and she's making her own baked goods and stuff out of it. So it's really good. Like, I'm not complaining about the food. I'm not paleo myself, but
I've been told that if you consider the coconut, it's all you need, actually.
if you put the lime in the coconut, I hear it's pretty good.
We'll have photos of all of the different dishes that were at Jesse's recent pop-up.
So next one is, so we've got the Guam theme pop-up on 4/6, and then on 4/13, Wes Burger from San Francisco is coming to LA, which will be super fun. We're calling it the Wes Burger Road Trip.
Okay.
We'll be making his signature Hot Wes, which is a smash burger, which is a hamburger that gets like smashed on the griddle, so it's extra crispy on all the sides, with onion rings, pickled jalapenos, and nacho cheese. And then his tater tots. So that's gonna be real fun. That'll be on 4/13.
Okay.
Sweet. Well,
dude,
pretty stoked that you're also you moved down to LA. That's some other news because you used to live up north in San Francisco, and you moved down here about 6 months ago.
Yeah. Oh, I can't believe it's been 6 months already.
Yeah,
it has rained every single weekend since I got. It's like I never left.
I enjoy the rain. Like, I'm really happy that it's raining because, especially out here, like you commented when you came out here, it's like
super
so green.
It's beautiful.
And when I bought my house in 2005, I bought it in April, and it was raining the day I bought it, basically. And that hill that's outside the window looks exactly like it looks now. And like I was like, this is awesome. This looks great. And then a year later, it was dead because we went into a drought, and like it was just a dirt mound. So
great story about all the houses you own.
So I'm stoked that you're down in LA and part of the LA beer scene, I guess.
It's been great. I'm really enjoying it. The local beer scene has been super fun. It's sort of exciting what's happening down here. It's interesting how the culture is different than LA, but there's just a ton of cool breweries making delicious beer, and it's fun to explore it. And the food scene too. So I mostly just live off of tacos and dumplings since I've moved to LA.
But before your beer world, I think you run a blog or something, or you wrote for somebody like what was your life before beer?
Well, I worked in tech and IT before beer.
But you had a blog of some sort.
Yeah, so I'm a recovering blogger. So I wrote a blog called Beer and Nosh, and I did that. I started that when I was starting homebrewing too, and it was really great. For me, I look back on it, and I mean, it wasn't the goal at the time, but it really helped me develop my voice, made me become a much better writer because there's nothing like putting things on the internet and getting very unfiltered feedback.
Oh, absolutely,
as unfiltered as this beer.
Some good stuff recently.
But it was, it helped me really create, what I think of as my point of view that, has really informed a lot of everything I've done since then too.
For sure. That's cool. Everybody should blog a little bit.
I dabble in blogging here and there. I have to post copy for the show every week. And if you look back on the blog, like I would write like multiple paragraphs to go along with the show. And now it's basically a sentence.
Listen to the fucking show.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Yeah. Listen to the show. Here's what we drink for the SEO. But listen to the fucking show.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we poured a second beer here.
I'm bad at reading instructions. So in here they were like, oh, tilt this one upside down to get the fruit back in suspension before you pour it, which we did not do.
Oh. There's fruit in suspension here.
No, there's a lot. I kind of razzled up if you want to just add on some Merc.
I've got plenty of Merc in mine as far as I can tell.
I razzled my Merc and I'm ready for takeoff.
This is that same goza with dragon fruit, passion fruit, pink guava, and mango.
It's a pog juice.
And they pointed out once you have the jostled version that you'll actually get like passion fruit seeds, which there are in my beer.
Yeah, for sure. Little crunchy bits.
And it tastes really different than the other version of it, I think.
It's very pog juice forward.
Yeah.
Consume immediately. Do not cellar. Do not ship. Do not purchase from retailer if not refrigerated. Must be refrigerated at all times.
Mark was very he's like, okay, so you have a refrigerator to put these in, right? And I was just like, yeah, I'll put them in.
Yeah.
He's like, I just want to make sure they don't sit out on a shelf, and I'm pretty sure he's afraid of the bottles like exploding or something.
Re-fermenting. Yeah,
they're so full of sugar.
You shouldn't be putting beers out into the market that are not that stable.
Yeah, I've seen arguments. Yeah, but
I think it tastes really good though.
This has that classic guava stank that I get on guava beers, and I'm coming around to guava. I like it in beer more than I did when I first had guava beers, but it still has that nice guava stank.
Guava, 10 years ago when I moved into my house, lady next door had, I think, 5 different guava trees, and they're all different varietals, so they all ripen at different times. And she would just drop off like a grocery bag full of like one that was like super piney, and then the next one, like 2 weeks later, she's like, here's one this is like pink strawberry, and this one is like super pineapple-y. And so there's like all kinds of the world of guava is just like hops.
Yeah.
Where there's all these different aromatics and flavors and colors, and so I don't know. I think the stereotypical guava for me is like the strawberry sort of piney. I don't know how else to explain it, but I get that in this beer, and it's really tasty.
Yeah, this doesn't have nearly the level of tart bite to it that the first one did, which I kind of liked how tart the first one was, and I kind of miss it in this beer. I think that tart edge really helps clean it up because it's so sugary and so like, you know, fruit juicy that the tartness, it's kind of like if it were more carbonated, you know, it'd clean everything up kind of thing.
Yeah, it's got a lot of fructose bite in here that it could use a little zing of acidity in there to kind of like give it like a high note.
It's definitely an interesting beer. Like, it's just very, very sweet and fruity, you know, and obviously that's what they're going for. Like, I mean,
I feel like they did a really good job of giving you a like fruit juice character and not that like this tastes to me like there was actual fruit in it and not just like, hey, we bought some of that mango flavoring from
oh no, this is
John's
super fresh
mango
fruit,
flavors.
for sure.
But you know, even breweries that do that, the flavors come through kind of artificial sometimes, but the fruit flavors in this really, you get that like biting into fresh fruit sensation out of it, the flavor on there, which I like.
And again, another brunch beer, man. I just want like a plate of some sort of like hollandaise sauce,
some pancakes, and
for sure
Taco bar,
some tacos.
And each of his bottles has food, cheese, and cigar pairing recommendations.
Yeah, I saw
Okay.
that. Yeah,
A cigar pairing with a 3.9% beer. What cigar is on there?
Villager, Sandoro, Colorado Robusto.
All right, so nice Robusto.
Is that are we allowed to smoke in here?
I don't know.
Greg is now lighting up 4 cigars. So.
I've got 4 cigars in my.
welcome to OC Flavor Country by your cigar block.
The air is getting hazy.
if Dr. Bill were here, he'd probably know what that cigar is and
Yeah.
would know if it did pair well because that dude smokes a lot of cigars. So
I'm not a cigar guy, honestly.
Yeah, it's not my scene.
I've dabbled and I just don't get it. Like I used to smoke cigarettes and I still think they're appealing as far as
Yeah,
like
I enjoy a
smoking
good cigarette
goes.
every now and then.
Well, cigars, you're not supposed to inhale the smoke,
Right.
and I feel like I struggle with that.
So do I.
Yeah.
And because it's especially since I was a smoker, like that's just a natural reaction to when you inhale is to, you know, or when you suck in the smoke is to inhale it, you know. But I understand cigars are meant for, you know, flavor and aroma and to, you know, just like pairing beer
And
with
pointing
food.
at things while you gesticulate
hey,
with it.
There's okay. Here's my hot take. Like, there's nothing more annoying than somebody that smokes cigars at a beer festival. That it just ruins the
Dr.
whole-
Bill, if you're listening, Greg wants to fight
So
you.
gross.
I really hate the smell of cigar smoke personally.
I don't like cigarette
enjoy
smoke, but I get it. Like I really get the appeal of it, but I just cough on them and don't find
At
it
a beer
enjoyable.
festival, though, like you're there to, I don't know, taste beers, and you're there
I think
to
it's-
smell beers.
I'm with you, Greg. You're in a public place and it's kind of rude to just light up, especially
Plus,
Same with
a
vapor.
joint is a way better pairing for most IPAs. Too.
I'm not offended by that. I don't smoke pot myself, but if somebody's like, that smell of weed is sort of like, it's complimentary to a beer. Like,
Speaking of that, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but CBD and kind of marijuana
Yeah.
was at first anyway part of your FAVA thing.
Well, yeah. So I wanted to integrate cannabis into some of my events. Unfortunately, I ran into laws that were problematic for that. The state of California has been extremely clear that there will be no overlap between cannabis and alcohol. So for me, in the end, it came down to because we're holding the event in a place that has an ABC license, because obviously we're doing everything legally. If we introduced cannabis, we added some risk for their license.
Got it.
And, you know, I'm willing to take on some risk, but I was sort of unwilling to push
You don't wanna put
risk
them in
on
a bad
put
spot.
them in a bad spot. But I'm working on some other stuff coming up there. So I'm actually doing some cannabis sales right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is a fun new world to get. It reminds me of craft beer, 10 years ago in a lot of ways. It's kind of like the Wild West right now. So a lot of new stuff coming on, but also the laws and regulations are changing constantly. So it's an interesting time in the market.
So you could, in theory, do like cannabis and food pairing, but there's just no alcohol involved.
Yeah, I actually went to an event last weekend that was the hummus and hashish event.
Ooh,
nice.
That was put on in LA by an organization called Grassfed. And so they had different, everything was vaporized. There was no smoking because vaporizing, a lot healthier in a lot of ways because you're not actually doing combustion. It's creating smoke. But they had different hummus options available, and then some vaporizing flour and dab hits, things like that too.
I don't like use cannabis or smoke marijuana at all, just because of my job. I can't do it. But that does sound really interesting.
That sounds
especially
fun.
You can't get high in an elevator. It's a little elevator humor.
Wow, right there. Yeah, that's I've never heard that one. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got a dozen more listed here, so stand by.
So what do
Just
we got?
your boss yelling at you like, son, you want to get high? We'll send you to downtown LA. You'll go up 51 stories.
Yeah, definitely don't want that.
On behalf of everyone that rides elevators, thank you for not getting high on the.
Oh,
on
you're
the job.
welcome. I don't want to be high on the job. That would be very bad. So what are we drinking now, Jason?
This is the Elegy Despair edition. It is a hazy double IPA with double dry hopped with Citra and Mosaic. And they used a particularly high amount of flaked wheat to give it a wheatiness, a hefe-like wheatiness.
A wheatiness.
And they used their house yeast on it.
Yeah, it says this is the final beer they did with a house yeast. There it is.
Sorry.
This, I'm thinking about that beer we had with Tim, and I kind of get that same vibe from this. Like, it has like a kind of a saison-y kind of quality to it, in the background, I think.
It reminds me of when I had my first La Freak from Green Flash. It's got that sort of Belgian yeast sort of character playing off the hops a little bit.
That's a good call.
Yeah, that Belgian yeast tends to, in my experience, it sort of holds on to a little of that bitterness in the finish that I get. Yeah, and the aroma is sort of, it's kind of sharp and pointy. It's kind of describe it. Very grapefruit peel, maybe pomelo peely. Like there's some nice fruit character in there, but it's kind of it's aggressive and sort of leans. It leans away from that sort of softness that you see in a lot of hazies.
It tastes like an earthier side of Mosaic versus the like candy Mosaic you get a lot of the time. This leans kind of on the more danky kind of side of hops.
Yeah.
Where when you hear Citra Mosaic, I'm expecting something kind of really bright and fruity. Where this is a bit more of like a older school dank hop profile, I think.
Yeah, and going back to what you said, Jesse, the pomelo peel, like that's such a like perfect description for that flavor note. It's so pithy, like in
and
a
a little
citrusy way.
allium, green onion in the background, not entirely, kind of balances it in a nice way. Not bad at all.
Yeah, that's another good call.
It honestly,
I did this for a living.
Yeah, I know.
it's got a nice bite to it. It's the wheat gives it a good character, but it doesn't have that really soft like New England IPA mouthfeel.
I think it's far too aggressive. Like,
no, it feels
sharp.
Yeah, it's
Is there lactose in it?
not that they say.
Yeah,
I don't believe so.
Doesn't say it does.
Honestly, this reminds me of it was a trend for a hot minute where you took kind of a West Coast style IPA and they'd add wheat. The white IPA was a thing for like 10 minutes. And this really feels like that, right? Where you kind of combine the elements of like a wit or even like an American wheat into an IPA, and it gives it kind of that hybrid profile, which seems like what they were going for, but much more so than your like hazy IPA that most people expect right now, which is just very kind of sweet and very candy-ish and has that hop smear.
Yeah, this I talk about this quite a bit especially when I do like a hazy beer review, like on YouTube or something, because you don't know what you're gonna get, and that style is still so experimental at this point, where people know in their head what they think a hazy IPA is supposed to be, and the way they translate it is always really interesting. I mean, it's not always great, but a lot of times it's interesting to see what breweries are doing with it. And this is the first time I've had one that, like you said with the Green Flash beer, it has kind of that different Belgian edge to it.
Agreed.
That
not bubblegummy, but it's got some sort of estery profile.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little earthy.
But it's got a yeast character in there that that
It
stands
actually
out.
reminds me of like European IPAs in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
because a lot of them they've grown a lot because this crazy thing where American beer is now
Yeah,
influencing
that's also a
worldwide
good
beer.
call.
But a lot of European IPA, you oftentimes get this like overt bitterness where they sort of like can't quite wipe away generations of brewing technique and how
Right.
to make it, and it's sort of like, well, if you're going to add all these hops, I should spread those out along the hop schedule, which is not how you make these
Yeah,
beers.
it reminds me of like a European McKellar IPA, like that made it across over the seas, or the Nugno, whatever. That brewery.
Nunye, whatever.
Yeah, or La Rule does a lot of Belgian style stuff.
Rule.
Yeah.
This beer,
Fire,
I
it's
believe,
fire.
It's Firefest.
this is one of the story beers, and it has like a little bit of a story. It ends with "It can't rain all the time," and the story actually sounds very influenced, and also the cover art.
The Crow.
Let's say it's very influenced by the movie The Crow.
Yeah.
Which is one of the only comic books I actually collected back in the day, because I was a huge Norder fan, Joy Division.
Just say you're goth.
No.
I just really was into Joy Division and The
J.O.
Crow.
Bar, yeah.
and
That was the
wearing
only
black
comic
and
book
makeup.
I ever purchased.
You're a huge goth.
I still
You
have 'em
Smoke cloves
somewhere in my attic. I did smoke cloves.
Your
like
smoky
delicious.
eye looks great, by the way.
Thanks.
You had Doc Martens smoking cloves.
I liked the
growing my
movie,
bangs out.
but like I had a couple friends that were just hardcore into it. Like, they weren't goth though. They were just like dressing like dude from The Crow, like as when he wasn't The Crow. And I'm like, why? What's the why? It's a decent movie, but it's not
'Cause
like
you're a goth. Well, the
great.
Dude died on set too, so that's like adds to the lore of
Yeah, I
it.
guess so. Yeah, that too. I don't know. I never got that movie.
Yeah.
So what's up? So what's next, Jason?
The Crow 2.
Now we're drinking the Crow 2 City of Angels with the French Crow.
It's just a guy that runs around town cawing at people.
This is
The
an
Crow.
8.4% beer too. Wow.
Can you grab the Dia de los Muertos?
Yeah, we're gonna drink. No, that's an Imperial Stout. You want to drink that next? We got another IPA.
Which IPA is that?
Morpheus.
They didn't send us info on that. That's like our free bonus.
Yeah, they
beer,
did.
I guess.
It's on there.
Bonus.
Oh, did they?
Right.
It's
Well, I sorted it with here's the ones they recommend drinking.
I think
Okay.
let's open the Morpheus then, just because it's a hazy double IPA.
Well, so
No.
we have a
Too late.
Oh, there
I'm
it
opening
goes.
it.
It's already done.
You guys were like, "Hey, let's not
We
do
took-
all 6 of these."
we
So it's
took
like
the
cool,
blue
one
pill.
gets cut, and it's the second hazy IPA.
We took the blue pill, Jason.
Sorry, Jason. That was my fault then.
It's not hazy.
They call it a hazy. It's got a little bit of haze on it. So this is a brand new beer. It was packaged on Thursday, which would have been not this last Thursday, but the Thursday before. So it's about a week and a half old.
Okay.
Flaked oats, flaked wheat, and a small amount of lactose. Man, they're running
kissed
with
it.
that lactose.
Kissed it with lactose.
Double dry hopped with Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe. And it's fermented with a brand new iteration of London 3 ale yeast.
Okay.
It's a pretty decent Pliny clone, I think. I mean, it's not. I don't know if it's meant to be that, but that's the note I get. It's not real piney, little citrus, pretty classic.
It is very piney on the nose, yeah. That's
For a very modern description of the beer, we ended up at classic West Coast IPA.
But I think the finish
ooh,
on
that's
it,
super dry too.
yeah, you take a sip and it's definitely got that fresh hop zing to it.
Mm-hmm. A little
But
grassy.
on the finish, the lactose really carries like your back palate.
Yeah, you get more of kind of that milky sweetness than just a bitter bite riding on your palate. There's still a bitterness there, but it kind of rides in on like a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, it's funny. You get the bitter up front, and then you get the sweet in the back. It's sort of like it's got like a mock sort of like wine tannin versus acidity sort of balance to it. Structure.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Greg knows
It's
things
delicious.
about wine. This it finishes kind of dry, like too dry for me. It's a classic example of a hazy that fermented a little too much, and I think the lactose. I know it's supposed to add body and sweetness, but I feel like I don't know, they could have tweaked the recipe to give it a little more body, because like it finishes so dry to where it's like it's drying out my palate. So it's not. It tastes great though, like super like
It's very
hop
bold.
forward.
Uh-huh.
I think for a London 3 beer, I'm not getting a lot of that yeast profile. And it is very bitter for if they're chasing that haze style. I like a bitter IPA, so I don't really have any complaints about it. But for the person who's buying, I think, hazy double IPA, they probably are hoping for something a little bit more in that late hop burst style, you know?
Yeah,
So-
like I said, it goes back to a brewery's interpretation of what that style should be, and clearly, I think they think it should have some bitterness to it, which I appreciate too.
But if you're seeing like a hazy double IPA in a bomber in a store somewhere, are you going to even give it a second glance? Like, is that rude to say? Like,
No,
I'm
it's
just
not.
speaking.
It's
I
the trend right now is to put it in a can, and you assume when it's in a can that okay, they know
I
what
wouldn't
they're
even
doing.
look at the section in the store that has bombers in it. Like, there's Hop Stupid and there's some other stuff, and like
They can beer too, like they do can beer.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know why these. Maybe they just happen to send us all
Oh,
bottles.
gotcha.
Maybe
So
I
they
don't
do
know.
can as well.
Yeah, they do can.
Okay, that's smart.
Good.
Good on you.
But as far as my overall opinion, the beer's fine. It's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit of illusion of the other one.
Blending.
Do a little on the fly blend.
You gonna fix the Brewers beers for me?
No. I was curious. Add a little fruit juice to it.
I'm
Like
gonna do
it's
what
my
these
beer
guys should have
mosa.
done.
How's that go with that
It's my
champagne we
beer
put in
mosa.
there?
Right. I'm gonna bring some champagne next time. Some prosecco to go in it. Oh man.
We're just going to turn this into 4 brunchers, dude.
I would listen to that podcast.
Just all chewing the whole time. Just like,
Today we're
Mm.
reviewing Eggs Benedict.
Yeah, we got some chili killies on deck.
So I got some toast.
Cool.
well,
Those are fun beers, man.
we're going to have 6 now.
So
Um,
Imperial Stout.
Is that what's next?
Yeah, the Dia de los Muertos.
Whew.
The Day of the Dead. Oh, this was pouring black.
Hey, we got a nice head on this one too.
It does seem like a lot of breweries treat head as optional on Imperial Stouts these days.
Well, I think once you get above like 10%, doesn't your head retention kind of like just take a dump?
Be a better brewer.
Yeah. I guess. How do you fix it? Just add a bunch of
Protein.
protein care pills or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to fix that in the mash.
And I love seeing a darker head on an
Like-
Imperial Stout.
All right.
Yeah, that's
What would
really
you-
nice.
How would you fix that in the mash, though? What would you do to
I mean,
what would you do to your
little
mash?
little oats never hurt. Yeah, a little protein, little wheat, little oats. You can do some things to help there, and then I think adjusting the mash schedule can help as well.
Okay.
Oats make everything better.
Oats.
As we know.
My goats, my friends.
This is the best beer we've had from them today. I really like this.
What am I getting on the nose?
I
That
haven't poured
has some
It's
kind
like
of
burnt,
edge to
like
it.
a kind of like a burnt caramel, but in like a purposely burnt caramel kind of thing going on.
So this was aged in rye whiskey barrels
Okay.
that were then used to age maple syrup.
That's okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely gets some like marshmallow character.
Yeah, the aroma really pops on it.
A little bit of earthy character to it as well.
Yeah, I kind of get like a pancake syrup like vibe from it. Like a, it smells sweet,
little
and
Miss
kind of
Butterworth.
woody, like a little Miss Butterworth.
Oh, that comes through really well. There's like a sweet layer. It's not like an aftertaste, but there's just kind of this middle layer of sweetness. It's like instead of it just tasting like there's syrup in it, it feels like that mapley flavor is kind of integrated throughout the whole beer. That actually works really well.
That's a really
This,
long
like-
flavor. Like it just keeps going and going and
Some
going.
chocolate chip Mickey Mouse pancakes with this. I'd be real
Yeah.
happy
Oh,
with
man.
it. So are we doing this
Brunchers.
brunch thing or not? This is a really nice beer. This would be great, like with dessert, with some like super dark bitter chocolate after a big meal. This would probably be. What kind of cigar goes with this?
Kyle's got the bottle.
Kyle in the chat.
What's the cigar?
Kyle in the chat. Kyle in the room chat. So,
Macho
a nice
Corojo
Maduro.
Maduro.
All right.
This sounds like you made up words.
Sounds like a wrestler.
Yeah, Camacho Corojo Maduro. That's what it says. I don't know cigars. People are like, yeah, you
sounds
don't
more
know
like a professional wrestler.
you don't
than
know
a
the
cigar.
Camacho? President Camacho.
Yeah, I don't like cigars, but a cigar sounds great with this. Sort of contemplative, sit and sip it, let it warm up a little bit.
Little raspberry jam with some foie gras on
Yeah.
crostini.
Yeah, I'd be into that.
And pizza's here. Speaking of, for brunchers.
Betty.
Pizza's here. Now here's the point in the room where it starts to get hot.
This better be brunch pizza.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, Merino Valley doesn't have any food delivery service other than pizza.
That's rough.
There's no like Uber Eats. There's no DoorDash. There's no.
I feel like. Did you check recently?
I checked last year, so
Because I can get DoorDash and Postmates now where I couldn't like a year or two ago.
Yeah, DoorDash. Uber Eats is like the one I use the most because it's the fastest out of all of them.
Is it? I try not to give Uber money.
I know that sucks, but if I can get food in a half hour versus an hour, I'm into it. And they're usually like, "Damn, how'd you get that here so fast?" DoorDash is at least an hour.
Yeah.
Uber
This
Eats
all
is
stays
always
in
a
the
half
show,
hour.
right?
This part?
Oh, yeah,
You'll
this
probably
part.
All
cut.
right, good.
This is gold right here.
We're
What are
just
you
filling
talking
time.
about? Yeah.
Filling time. Filling time with John Holzer.
What are your opinions on Uber versus Lyft?
I use Lyft for all my rides.
That's
but
right.
Uber Eats for all the foods. If they had Lyft Eats, I would do that instead, but they don't.
I
Unfortunately.
just take those scooters everywhere now.
Oh, those are rad.
That-
They just started showing up in my neighborhood.
Being a city person, you're just like, yeah, I
Look
ride
at
I ride a
taking
bird.
scooter.
Yeah.
How much does it cost to, like, if you ride a bird, like, for like an hour or something?
It'd be a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're not
they're usually like 15 cents a minute. So in my experience, the sweet spot is when you want to go like when you come across one and you're like, we're going to walk somewhere that's like 1.5 miles or 2 miles,
Yeah.
and then you do that instead. That's sort of the sweet spot
Yeah,
for me.
2 miles or more, you're going to do a ride share.
Yeah.
Anything less than that.
And if you have
can
two
do
people, then the cost they're
Yeah.
not super cheap as a way to get around, but they are super fun. We took them all over. I was in Austin, and we took them all over Austin to all the barbecue.
that sounds awesome.
I work at a university, and they're everywhere. Like,
That'd be
everywhere.
great to get around to you.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
college, I
those.
feel like, is a perfect environment for one
Yeah.
of some of those.
Sweet.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, this beer, man. Tasty stout game.
Yeah, honestly, like, I'm pretty particular about big barrel stouts, and I really think this is, when you hear about CBS, this is what you picture in your head.
Oh, for sure.
And CBS is always a letdown.
But CBS always makes you sad, and this is actually like that mapley barrel beer. It fulfills that, like, but again, it's the expectation you had when you got CBS, but actually meeting it.
I don't know if I can drink more than like 4 ounces of this beer.
Same.
Like,
I say that
it's
about any imperial stout, though.
I wouldn't say it's cloying, but I wouldn't want more than 4 or 5 ounces of this.
it's a little too
it's
sweet.
like,
It's
whoa.
rich. It's really rich,
Yeah.
is what
Rich.
it is. It's like a super rich dessert.
It's a bottle share hero for sure. Like,
Yeah.
it's best enjoyed in small quantities, but it's really, really good. Very well done.
So even after you finish the glass, it's got this like it like coats the inside of the glass with like a caramely haze to it.
Yeah,
So
the
it's-
water in my glass looks like a freaking amber
It's got
ale.
legs. Wow. Yeah, no doubt. Look at that.
Right, we got a fat tire now just by rinsing out the
Yeah.
glass.
It looks like Maharaja. Oh my god, my burps are so fruit juicy. On the belch, I have a little fruit juice.
All right, we have one more beer. All I see is Carrion, Belgian quad.
Oh, we got a quad on deck? Nice.
Big, robust, but shockingly quaffable. That is their description.
Quaff.
So,
Quaffable is such a weird word.
Shockingly quaffable. That's okay.
I don't want to spoil the retweet.
This is so
I'm just gonna keep-
quaffable. My God. What?
I'm quaffing it.
Hey,
Have
I'm
you quaffed
quaffing
this
here.
beer?
I'm quaffing it.
I say, I've quaffed many beers in my time. I say,
I've never quaffed a beer
quaffed.
quite as boldly
would-
as I have quaffed this beer.
I would take some quaff.
What'd you do today? I just quaffed some beer. It was pretty shocking.
Quaff. And you get pulled over by a cop on the way home. He's like, "Have you been quaffing?"
Why, yes.
I've been quaffing all day.
How did you know?
I've
Would
been
you
known
like
to
to
quaff a time or two myself.
James Quaff. So this is a Belgian quad, huh?
Wow.
This is very dark for a quad. I
Yeah,
wonder,
it is.
does it say how many hours this thing was boiled, or did they just add stuff to it to make it dark?
Is it made with carrion?
I would assume.
Probably not.
What is carrion?
Carrion's like
dead
roadkill,
animals?
dead animals. Yeah, rotting dead animals.
Oh,
Like a vulture eats
then I would
carrion.
not assume it's made.
Isn't that what they throw in rum vats in Jamaica to like,
yeah, that's the
funkify,
Yeah, I
keep people from drinking their stuff?
people like that. Hogo, I think. Is
Yeah,
called.
I don't remember that.
They put
exact
dead
name.
animals in the rum?
Well,
What?
no,
No.
like they talk about putting dead animals in the rum. It might have
That's a
goat.
lore. Yeah,
It has
That's weird.
It
well,
has
they
some,
store all their stuff that's fermenting in this vat, and then to keep people from like drinking the fermentation stuff, they'll add some sort of like gross stuff.
I
that
hear
it
at the
distills
Corona factory, all the workers go stand by the tank and they piss in the top. That's what I heard, man.
It's true.
out, and then they quaff it. Quaffing dicks.
This is pretty boozy, I
Yeah.
would say. It's 12%, so I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, your
It's-
nose is super hot.
Yeah.
It's really hard to make a good quad, and the list of people who nail it are very short list of like super good quads out
and
there.
they're all monks.
Yeah, for sure. They're bald and they have robes, and
This
they've took vows of silence.
coming off very like thin, very dry. Like I wouldn't call it shockingly quaffable. Just think it's super dry and kind of burns off really quick.
Some nice sort of prune, raisin, dried fruit character in there. A little
Yeah.
toffee.
I
think that's
I
textbook.
really think if it was like 9.5 versus 12%, it would really help this beer.
A nice light 9.5%.
I mean, really,
For a quad, yeah.
the heat in beer when you get above 10 is like exponential at that point, where it just ramps up so much, and so much heat comes through in this. It really overwhelms a lot of the. I think it does have those flavors, right? Those
I
like
get some
brown sugar, raisin
Banana bread.
flavors.
Banana
Yeah.
bread's a little bit in there.
Yeah, I agree. I like the flavor set. It's sort of, there's all this sort of stuff surrounding it. Could be tightened up a little bit here. I mean, this isn't barrel aged, was it? This would probably really improve with a year or two in the bottle.
Yeah, just to like let it rest. I'm sure it would the edges would soften a little bit.
Is it coming off a little on the flat side for anyone? Like it could use a little more carbonation too.
I think their carb was low on everything, but that might have to do with leaving a little space since they're very fermentable, according to the labels.
it's a quad. I mean,
The
it's,
IPAs were pretty much fine on carb,
Yeah,
I think.
the-
But I want to say it's by design on the fruited beers. It seems like it was a choice. But
the more I acclimate to the beer, it's not as thin as it was at first. Like I think it was just like my palate was shocked by this higher
It is a
amount of
palate
alcohol.
shock for sure.
But now that I'm kind of getting used to it, it's coming off with more of like a syrupy kind of body, I think.
it smells kind of like those chocolate covered cherries.
Raisinets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a little banana bread, and this is something you definitely want to eat food with to help balance out that heat. Some sort of like
Foie gras, chocolate, Nutella, cookie.
something very rich that
be
would
good with
balance out
this.
for sure.
wonder how this would work with like a beer float. Like
That's a good call.
Like
It's got a
ton
pretty
of vanilla
metal
ice cream.
demon on the front, like
just
demon looking
trying to put
dude
more
with
lactose in everything.
wings made of bone.
I mean, it's their thing. Why not?
Lactose
Go for it. A Belgian quad with lactose.
If you're gonna quaff a beer, like it's got to have some lactose in it. I just say that.
Yeah. So overall, I'm really happy with these beers. I think they've got a unique take, and they're really going bold with their experimentation, is especially with like the gozas and the massive amounts of fruits. It's like basically fruit juice with beer added to it.
I think they're not quite following the playbook. Like the styles they featured are clear outside of the quad are very clearly what is in right now, right? They're the popular styles, but I do think that they're trying to put a different twist on it and not just be like, okay, look, we'll make a hazy double IPA, but we're still going to have our character to it, as opposed to just putting in a straight, we made a clone of Treehouse and here we go.
Yeah, I think a lot of brewers suffer from the the pastiche sort of syndrome of doing what everybody else is doing, what makes money. But I get the sense that there is a definite character to their beers.
The general like art and aesthetic of all this stuff, I really enjoy. Like the bottles look cool. They look like kind of album covers. There's a lot of really fun stuff going on with like the weird stories, and they're numbered. So that was what they were saying. Like Nine Inch Nails does Halo whatever for every single album, whatever, right? They sequentially number every release they do, and so their beers have a ghost number on the side, which is the actual like batch number of the beer of their total batches, which is just kind of neat.
That's cool.
Yeah, drinking them as a set, I get a real sense of who they are as a brewery
Absolutely.
and brewer's intent on everything. Like, I feel like there's a nice sort of commonality between them. And while I don't love everything in the lineup, not every beer is for me too. And
But they have a
if you
character
only
to
want
them.
beer that is your style, you should go start your own brewery.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's, you get a lot of brewers' personality. It doesn't taste like everything else in the market. It
Absolutely.
doesn't. I think these beers are all very distinguishable, and I think that I like the level of effort going into the labels. I like the level of effort going into the sort of mythos and the pairings and cigar pairings. And
That's cool. I love that.
I think you see sort of this whole complete picture of a brewery where they're not just like trying to make really good beers. They're trying to put like a whole identity, and sort of that inside the glass reflects the outside of the glass
That's
too.
a good call. You should be on our podcast all the time.
John just always
even have to
calling and being like, please, please come on.
Oh, stop.
I'm like, John, it's 3 a.m. How did you get this number?
You offered to be on the show. You were
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled
You
to
were
be
like,
here.
I think
You've
I'm
been on the
ready.
show before. Was it like, what number show was it? Like
He's been on 2
It was our
times.
first season.
But this is his first time in studio.
This is my
first.
because it's been all Skypey
we were
wipey.
Skype.
Yeah.
The Skypey wipey.
I did not
Skypey
expect the
wipey.
studio to be painted in gold on all the walls. That is a surprising
Thank you to
choice.
Patreon for the gold flake.
We have a fine Persian rug in our feet. This is very classy.
We drink out of a mini
Candles.
vase.
Patreon paid for a lot of this stuff.
It's
so
this is a really nice studio you guys
Thank you.
got here.
I like it.
I'm excited to drink some more beer in it.
It's
All
fun to
right.
hang out in here too, outside of recording, like because I've got like video games and TV stuff, and it's pretty cool. Thanks, guys.
I get it. You want to have a sleepover.
Man cave.
Let's do it, man.
Nice man cave.
All right, so if you want to find Four Brewers online, you can find all of that information at fourbrewers.com. If you want to watch the show live while we record it, like we're doing now, you can do that at twitch.tv/4brewers or go to fourbrewers.live to watch on the website. If you want to find us on Instagram, you can search for us on there at Four Brewers. On Twitter, we are at Four Brewers Show. If you want to leave a review for the show, that would be very much appreciated because reviews really do help us in the rankings in iTunes and Apple Podcasts. And if you want, what am I missing? Come on.
Instagram. We've
Classic
got,
Matt.
We've got our YouTube. Juicy,
you want to send us an
gooey,
email? You got
gooey,
Our
feedback?
Juicy Lucy
poopy.
YouTube content.
There you go.
Loopy.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot about YouTube. Yeah, I'm
Youpy.
still doing YouTube. I'm actually doing more Instagram TV, IGTV videos too,
Yeah.
because nobody is doing those. And if they
Who
are,
watches that crap?
well, then people do them like in horizontal.
Let's
like,
start a
I
TikTok.
don't know. No, we're not going to do TikTok.
I like TikTok. Let's do a dance.
Is that Kesha runs that site or what?
I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't know what she's waiting for.
I like Kesha. She's great. Anyway, if you want to send us an email, hit us up at feedback@fourbrewers.com and brew the shit out of it. Okay. Pizza's here.
Pizza in my gut.